Hi there, so welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Excel Island, where the goal and objective is to learn and master Python over the next 100 days. Today is day 60. We're actually on the 8th course out of the 15 courses in the data analyst in Python career track on the DataCamp platform. So the goal is to finish the whole career track within the next 100 days. Today is day 60, so we have 40 more days to go, and hopefully we're going to complete the whole lesson before day 100. So I'm just going to continue from where we stopped on day 59. So we got stuck, there was a technical issue. I'm not going to pick it up from there, and we continue our learning journey from day 59. So if you want to know what is happening here today, just go back to day 59 to catch up on the previous challenge we are actually trying to solve. So I'm going to click on Introduction Data Visualization, and I have my Jupyter Notebook launched already. That was where we stopped on that day. So we're actually learning how to customize our charts using Seaborn. After we've actually visualized our variable with Seaborn, we want to learn how to customize it, add titles, add axis titles, y-axis and x-axis titles, add some colors, do different type of formatting on the chart. So that's what we're actually learning to do in this lesson. So I'm not going to continue right away. We are on Introduction to Seaborn Data Visualization with Seaborn, and we are on the last chapter, which is chapter number 4 in this course. So the next course we'll go to that when we complete this challenge. Okay, so let's continue. So let me just zoom in a little bit there. Okay, good. So in this challenge, we're trying to know how to add different title to different types of Seaborn charts. So that's what we are trying to do here. So it says in the recent lesson, we learned that Seaborn plot functions create two different type of objects. So when you plot in Seaborn, you are going to create two different type of charts based on the type of plot or the function you're trying to use. So we have the real plot, we have the cat plot, we also have some other plot also. So we've learned all of that in the previous chapters. So, so in the code provided, so the method for adding a title to your plot will differ depending on the type of objects it is. So in the code provided, we've used real plot. So this is a real plot function. There's also cat plot. So there are other type of functions that you need to know. With a miles per gallon dataset to create a scatter plot showing the relationship between a car's weight and its horsepower. So this scatter plot is assigned to the variable name G. Let's identify which type of object it is. So we're just going to identify the type of objects and this plot is giving us, this scatter plot. So to do that, I'm just going to type in, let me just say, type, just use the function type. So also know the type of plot this G is. I say type G there and run the code. You can see it is a facet grid. You can see here. So that is a facet grid or a axis subplot. And from our lesson, we understand that facet grid allows you to create subplots, while axis subplots only create a single plot. That is a single chart. You get that now? So I'm not going to continue from here. So I can also do the same thing. I can recreate this in this instance here. All I have to do is just connect to this data set, this MPG data set. That is what is actually being used in this instance. So this horsepower on the weight. Let me just quickly connect to that data set in this instance. MPG data set. I just go back here and say just read another data set. Let me just copy this line of code and tell it to read the another data set just below here. Read the MPG dataset mpg.csv. That will be mpg. Let me just zoom in a little bit there. Great. So this is going to be mpg. Oops. This data set I want to read is MPG right here. Oh, okay. I have to run all my line of code over and over again. Okay. So if I go back up and type in, oh, this will be MPG, MPG dot edge. You can see we have seen the so you can see the weights and the horsepower. So this is the data set for this MPG. So we've been actually been using this data set, this young people survey response, since the beginning of the chapter, from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 4 here. So I just want to recreate what we've done in this instance. I want to recreate it in my Jupyter notebook, making use of this data set. So it says create a scatter plot of G. I'm just copy all the code there. I'll just go to the last line of code here and just cut this out. So it's going to see MPG create a scatter plot for the weight and horsepower. The weight and horsepower of this information here. This is the weight and horsepower. So let's see what the scatter plot looks like. You can see. So I want to see which type of plot is this actual plot, which is a what? An axis plot. So an axis plot creates just a single chart like this, while a facet grid plot can create multiple charts. So now let's see. You can see we got Seaborn.axis grid.facet grid. You can see facet grid. So that's what we got here. As you can see, we got similar results here. Same result we got here. That is the class. We're actually getting the same results here for this line of code. Interesting. So the idea is to be able to recreate all this in your own environment. So let's submit and see. Great. So we've just seen that SNS plot creates facet grid objects, which other Seaborn functions create a facet grid object instead of an axis plot object. Okay, that should be facet grid, right? That should be cat plots. Let's see what is asking again. We just see the SNS plots, this rel plot that we use there, SNS plots create a facet grid objects. Now it is asking which other Seaborn function create a facet grid object instead of an axis subplot object. Is it still loading? I should have to submit. The submit button is not coming up. Okay, maybe I have to type dot. No, not even scatter plot. It's SNS dot cat plots. I can't run the code. Why is not allowing me to submit? Okay. Let me just reload the page again. Let's see why it is not allowing me to submit. You've done this earlier. Type G. Then we submit. Okay. Okay, now it is active back. It's probably just their interface there. Good. Just so cat plot supports creating subplot, so it creates a facet grid object. So we already know that. Now let's continue. Adding a title to a facet grid. So once I add the title to our chart, you can see the chart doesn't have a title. It's just showing us the x-axis for horsepower and the y-axis for weight. So what about the title of the chart? So that's what we're actually learning how to do with Seaborn here. So let's see. So in the previous exercise, we used raw plot with the miles per gallon dataset to create a scatter plot showing the relationship between a car's weight and its horsepower. This created a facet grid object. Now that we know what type of object it is, let's add a title to this plot. So add the title to a facet grid object. You're going to say add a title. You're going to say G. Do you know it is G? The plot we created is a G plot, is a G variable rather. So G dot fig dot subtitle. So adding the following title to this plot: car's weight. Let's add this title: car's weight versus horsepower. So this is going to be our title. Let's run the code and see first. Great, you can see car's weight versus horsepower. That is what we just did there. I'm just going to add just copy this line of code and do the same thing in Jupyter notebook here. Let's see. I can just come back here. Let me add it under the code. Well, like I see car's weight versus. So that's how you add the title to this subplot. Interesting. Makes it look more presentable. Now let's continue. Good work. It looks like a car's weight is positively correlated with its horsepower. Positively, exactly. You can see the slope going all the way like that. Let's continue. Now we're looking at how to add the title, adding titles and labels part 2. So let's look at it, how to add titles and labels part 2. Because we've learned how to add titles to a facet grid object. Let's continue.
Hello! In this lesson, we'll continue learning how to customize plot titles and axis labels. In the last lesson, we learned how to add a title to a facet grid object using g.fig.subtitle. To add a title to an axis subplot object, like that from the boxplot function, assign the plot to a variable and use g.setTitle. You can also use the y parameter here to adjust the height of the title. Now let's look at what happens if the figure has subplots. Let's say we've divided countries into two groups, Group 1 and Group 2, and we've set call equal to group to create a subplot for each group. Since G is a facet grid object, using g.fig.subtitle will add a title to the figure as a whole. To alter the subplot titles, use g.setTitles to set the titles for each axis subplot. If you want to use the variable name in the title, you can use call name in braces to reference the column value. Here, we've created subplot titles that display as this is Group 2 and this is Group 1. To add axis labels, assign the plot to a variable and then call the set function. Set the parameters x label and y label to set the desired x-axis and y-axis labels respectively. This works with both facet grid and axis subplot objects. Sometimes, like in the example we've seen in this lesson, your tick labels may overlap, making it hard to interpret the plot. One way to address this is by rotating the tick labels. To do this, we don't call a function on the plot object itself. Instead, after we create the plot, We call the matplotlib function plot.xticks and set rotation equal to 90 degrees. This works with both facet grid and axis subplot objects. And that's it! Now it's time to create some clear and informative visualizations.
Okay, so let's learn how to add X title label and Y title label, and also rotate it depending on how we want it to be. So adding a title and axis labels. So let's continue to look at the miles per gallon data set. Okay, we're also working with the MPG data set. This time, we'll create a line plot to answer the question, how does the average miles per gallon achieved by cars change over time for each of the three places of origin? To improve the readability of this plot, we'll add a title and more informative axis labels. In the code provided, we create the line plot using the line plots function. Note that line plot does not support the creation of subplots, so it returns an axis subplot object instead of a facet grid object. Okay, we've already imported all the necessary libraries. Okay, now let's see how this works first. Let me just copy this. I could just actually select this and run, let me see, and run the code. See what we have. You can see we have line plots showing the words miles per gallon. What is the minimum miles per gallon over the years for three different regions? Now let me just see. Let's see what it shows here also in our charts here. Line plots. Here is already data is MPG mean. Oh, I don't have the MPG mean. Do I have that? This MPG mean. Oh, I don't have it. Which is the mean of this column here. What if I just use the MPG data sets? I won't get the mean. Let me see. There should be a way for me to get the mean. Let me run the code first and see what we have here. Ooh, okay, MPG mean or Y. So you cannot get the MPG mean. Except I calculate the mean for this data set first. Let me just see it without the MPG mean. Let's see. Ooh, see what we have here. It's quite similar though. Mm, the mean will have been better. The blue is the US, while the blue here is Europe. Okay, let's do something a little bit different. Now, what to do is to calculate the mean for this MPG, for this column. For this column, we're going to calculate the mean for this column and just use it and add it as a what? As a data, as a column here. Let's see how we can do the mean. So you can say mean MPG. Let's go back here. Let me add a, let's say mean MPG should be equal to the MPG data frame. MPG data frame. Which column do you want to use there? Which is this MPG data column here. MPG column. I close the bracket. Dot mean. Let's run the line of code. So our result is correct then. Let me just run this mean MPG. Let's say we're going to have it as a single column because it's going to give us the mean only. But I want it to be part of the data frame. So how do I add it back to the data? So this is the mean MPG, which is this. Okay, now let's add it back to the original data frame. To data frame, MPG, this bracket, mean MPG. Will now be equal to let's see. Let's see. Voilà, so we added it back to the original data frame. So if I now print, if I call on MPG now, dot add, oh, we can see now we have our mean MPG back. You can see it now, but it should be different for each country of origin. That means I'm supposed to calculate the mean for each country of origin. Now let's see if I can get the same review. Let's see. Let's see if we're going to get the same result as we have here. Ooh, that is wrong. So I'm supposed to calculate the mean for each what? For each country. So that's my mistake. There's supposed to be the mean for each country here. Let's do it correctly now. We have three origin here. Yeah, they've calculated the mean MPG here without giving us the results. So let me do it pretty well here. So I can get a better result. So it's going to be, let's come back here and say m- mean MPG. So my mean MPG here that I calculated is going to be by it's going to be data frame. This my MPG dot go by. So I'm going to go by mean, go by the country of origin, which is our origin record here, origin dot mpg dot mean. That should give us our results. Let's see. Great. You can see now. So I have the origin for what? Europe, Japan, US. Now we are on the right track. I want to line of code again. There's a mistake somewhere. You can see my mean MPG is not showing. It's showing not available. Let's see. If I run this, you can see my chart is blank. So we're actually closer. So I've gotten the mean MPG for each country. So how do I add it back? Let's add it back to original data frame. Today is the mean MPG. MPG dot go by origin. So we group it by origin and we look at the mean for this MPG column. Now let's add it back to the original data frame. So it's going to be I'm just going to copy this all line of code here. Okay, let's do everything here initially. So I can add a line of code here, mean MPG equals to MPG dot go by origin, then the MPG. Let's see. see if this is going to work. Voila. Oh, I'm still getting error here. So this line of code should show me. There's a mistake somewhere. Let's see. I'm getting there. So I want to add it back to this original data set here. Okay. My MPG is not showing. Come on, come on, come on. We're going to get this out. Let's see. I'm going to get this out. So everything is showing not available. Not available for over 390 rows of data. That means I'm not getting my last line of code. Yes, I'm missing something. I'm missing something. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Let's see how we can troubleshoot this. I've gotten I've gotten my main MPG for each origin. Now to add it back to original data frame, it's showing NAN. Okay, let's start again. Let's do it like this. Let's start again. Let's start again. This is our MPG column from here. MPG data sets. Ooh, it has added this mean MPG there. What I could do is just delete the MPG column. Ooh, since I've deleted, it's going to affect this my data set here. Definitely going to is it? It is not affecting it though. Interesting. Now let's connect to the data set again. Right from here. We're going to go up and say this I want to get the MPG data sets. MPG. Okay. Let's now say MPG afresh. You can see now. So I don't have that main column there for now. Let's do that edge. Okay, great. Now I want to transform it and create a new column for the main. Let's transform it and see if we can get the results immediately. So it's going to be MPG MPG. Okay. Now let's call on the new MPG. Voila. You can see the main MPG per region. So each region should be different. So this is for USA, this is for Europe, for other Europe. So we know it right now. But let's do it dot add just to see a few lines of code. Okay, now this shouldn't be a problem. This shouldn't be a problem. And this, let's see. Now it's going to be mean MPG per region. That's the column we want to work with. Hmm. So we just have a straight line of code. A straight line which is absolutely wrong. It's supposed to be a line chart, a line plot rather. Now I'm doing mean MPG per region, which is also say the same thing. Maybe probably we didn't add per year to it. Ooh, we are so close. Oh, that's a good trial. We are getting similar for US. Hmm. I'm trying to see where the error is coming from, if I can troubleshoot it. But this is a good trial, though. Over the years. Hmm. I'm expecting the same results. The mean is supposed to be stable because of the what? I was looking at mean MPG per region. Interesting. But definitely, I'm just going to have to continue like this for the sake of time. But let's continue from here. I was able to get my result though. Oh, I've not added title. Oh, I've not set the title. I need to set the title. Let's just continue setting the title. Okay. So add, you say add the following title to the plot. Average MPG over time. Hmm. Title. Let's say G dot fake title. It's going to be average. Oh, this is an axis subplot. Set underscore titles. Let's on the line of code. Okay. Let's see. Why troubleshooting this? Hmm. I'm going to equate this again. I'm going to give it a shot. Trying to get the average mean based on a column. I don't want to group it based on a column. I'm trying to understand how they calculate the average mean here. This set title. Okay, I added S, not titles. Okay, now we have that is solved. Label the x-axis as car model and y-axis as average MPG. So to label the y label and x labels. So it's going to be g dot sets x label y label. So our x label is going to be car model here. Our y label is going to be average MPG. Let's run the line of code. Come on. X label equals to car model here, comma y label equals to same thing. Though I have double sets here. I got the set multiple times there. Interesting. Let's continue learning. Okay, rotating X sticks. So I actually rotate the X sticks. Okay, let's see we can rotate what we can rotate here. Oh, thanks, Visuals. I really appreciate that. So I'm trying to rotate the X stick. I'm going to use the X or PLT dot rotate the X stick label to 90 degrees. That's going to be PLT dot X stick. That is the X label. X6 open bracket. Going to rotation to 90. Let's run a line of code. You can see US, what's there? US, Japan, and Europe. So actually rotate the origin. But this data set is just this chart is called this is a line chart, no? Definitely this is a line chart. Yeah, this is a line chart. This is a line chart. Let's submit that and see. Fantastic. So we nailed it. So I'm just going to see what I did here that was getting me this error, which I'm going to troubleshoot later. This I'm looking at the mean. Definitely probably the result for each US is consider for each year, model year is kind of different. The MPG is kind of different, yeah. But definitely we're going to have the average, similar line of average. So I understand what the error is coming from here. Let's see though. Interesting to see. Running into multiple errors over and over again. Hmm. Can we complete this today? Let's see if we can complete this today. Just putting it all together. Box plot with subgroup, bar plot with subgroup and subplots. Hmm. Let's see if we can complete it. I think the next course is let's see. The next lesson is a project. If I go to career track section real quick, I go to another data analysis in Python career track. I think the next lesson is a project realizing the history of Nobel Prize winners. We have another skill assessment here. Then we have the EDA. This is EDA in Python, exploratory data analysis in Python. We have another project here. We have sampling in Python. These are hypothesis testing in Python. So let's complete this last part so we can move to this realizing the history of Nobel Prize winner projects in Python. Let me just complete this last part in this introduction to data visualization with Seaborn. Let's complete it within the next few hours. Just few minutes rather. Within the next few minutes.
In this course, we've learned a great deal about how to create effective data visualizations in Seaborn. In this lesson, we'll review what we've learned and connect the pieces together to form a cohesive picture of how to use Seaborn for future projects. The first thing to recall is simply how to import Seaborn and its related library, matplotlib. To do this, write import Seaborn as SNS and import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. Recall also, at the end of your data visualization code, you'll call plot.show to show the visualization. After you've imported the appropriate libraries, the next thing to do is to choose what type of plot you want to create. Relational plots are plots that show the relationship between two quantitative variables. Examples of relational plots that we've seen in this course are scatter plots and line plots. You can create a relational plot using relplot and providing it with the x-axis variable name, y-axis variable name, the pandas tidy data frame, and the type of plot, either scatter or line. Categorical plots are another type of plot. These describe the distribution of a quantitative variable within categories given by a categorical variable. Examples of categorical plots we've seen are bar plots, count plots, box plots, and point plots. You can create a categorical plot using catplot and providing it with the x-axis variable name, y-axis variable name if applicable, the pandas tidy data frame, and the type of plot, either bar, count, box, or point. If we want to add a third dimension to our plots, we can do this in one of two ways. Setting the hue parameter to a variable name will create a single plot, but will show subgroups that are different colors based on that variable's values. Alternatively, you can use rowplot and catplot's call and row parameters to graph each subgroup on a separate subplot in the figure. Once you have the basic plot created, you may want to customize the plot's appearance to improve its readability. You can change the background of the plot using set style, the color of the main elements using set palette, and the scale of the plot using set context. Finally, every plot should be given an informative title and axis labels. Recall the two types of plot objects, facet grids and axis subplots, and the way to add a title to each of them. Also recall how to use the set function with the x label and y label parameters to provide custom x and y axis labels, and how to use plot.xticks with the rotation parameter to rotate the xtick labels. And that's it! You're now equipped to make impressive and effective data visualizations with Seaborn. Let's practice putting all of these steps together in the final exercises of this course.
Okay, let's see the final stuff we can do here. Or we want to box plot with subgroups, bar plot with subgroups and subplots. So let's give it a shot. So it said, in this exercise, we'll look at the dataset containing responses from a survey given to young people. One of the questions asked of the young people was, are you interested in having pets? Let's explore whether the distribution of ages of those answering yes tends to be higher or lower than those answering no, controlling for gender. Okay, I think we have access to the data set here also. This is the data set. Are you interested in having pets? Let's see pets. Okay, just say yes or no here. But the response is 4.0, either 1, which is no, 5, and so on and so forth. Let's see. You just see it here and continue from there. Set the color palette to blues. Set palette to blue. It's going to be SNL dot set palettes to blue. So we want to set it to blue. Let's see how to set it to blue. SNS dot set underscore palettes. Let's see to blues. This is going to work. I just to add some good based on interested in pets. Okay. You plt dot show show. So our gender and age data survey. Let's say I just to add some group based on interested in pets. So interested in pets should be pets here. We have what is called pets. Our record for pets in this instance. So our pet here is 4.0. So interested in pets. So we may not be able to create that. So in this case, it's going to be add subgroup to the color box based on interested in pets. So our hue is just going to be equals to this. Then set title. Set the title of the facet grid object G to age of those. So G to set titles. Record title. Open brackets. Age of those interested in pets versus not. Let's run the code first. If it's going to work. Set pellets. So there's an error with this set pellet function here. Let's see. Set palette. Okay. Did I get the spelling right? SNS dot set PALLETE. PALE. Okay. I wrote double L there. Hmm. What was the error there? SET double T. Why am I missing one T every time? One L, either I'm missing one L. It's supposed to be set title. Fixed subtitle. It's supposed to use fixed subtitle here. Facet grid. So for facet grid, I'm going to use fixed subtitle. I always make that mistake of facet grid. Okay, it's fixed subtitle for facet grid. Facet grid object. We're going to use fixed subtitle. And voila, we have it here. Kind of not that clear. And that is because I can't recreate it in this instance here. I wish I can. Because these pets are just giving me to me numbers. I could have just change it to yes and no variable. Yeah, you can convert it though. Interested in pet, yes and no. But in this instance, interested in pet was recorded with 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is Boolean numbers, right? Which is almost still the same thing. The gender, we have our gender here, which is male and female, correct? We have the age here, the ages of the ages. Okay, now let's see, let's give it a shot though. We're just going to have a little challenge with the A part of the code. Let's see. So we're going to have challenge with this A part of the code. Interested in pets. Ours is just pets here. My record is just in pets. Just change it to pets. Let's see if it's going to give us our result also. Gender, age. So my data set is not survey data. I named my YPR. Let's change this to YPR. YPR and run. Exactly. Gender for X. Gender for X. Are you kidding me? Gender is coded in female and male. Why can't you interpret there? This is fun. Says could not interpret the valid gender for an entry with it Does not appear in the data. Are you serious? I have gender right here though. So let me just copy the spelling. Let's see. Gender. Same thing. See the same thing. That one of the challenge. I think it's not getting it because of this ew. Let me just get rid of this ew part of the code. See the same thing. Let's see if I now use a bar plot. Let's use a bar plot. A bar. So I see having challenge with that gender part of the code. I'll just leave it since we're able to solve it in this instance here. Let's go. Good job. Now finally, bar plots with subgroup and subplots. So set the figure style to dark. Let's see. Set the figure styles to dark. So that's SNS dot set style. SNS dot. This is the background. Can just be dark. We got that. I just to add subplot per gender. SNS dot cat plot. X variable is village minus town. Y equals to likes. And the data is of the kind is bar. So once add the subplots. Mm, so this is our so this is a facet grid. So our text is going to be subtitles. Fig the subtitle. It's going to be fig the subtitle for the then for the x-axis. Let's name our x-axis pretty well. So sets going to be sets. The x label. This for the x label, and this for the y label. Y label of the charts. Okay. Now I finally want to do this last part of the code that says I want to add the subplot. So how do you add subplot? Let's see how do you add subplot. Adjust the bar plot code to add the subplot based on gender. Okay, subplot. Okay. That is a single line of code. So I want to note the one for male and female separately. I want to have a chart for male and female separately. In real plot, this is a class plot. So let's do it by call. Our column subplot is going to be by gender. Let's see. It's going to add a subplot by gender. Let's see. Ooh. So I tell you my set style, my changing the background to dark figure is this here. Set STYLE STO. I wrote SYTLE. Fantastic. So that is our call column there. You can see we have one for male, one for female. You may not see this very well. Let me just make it a little bit wider. Let's see if we can make it a little bit wider. Village, city, location of residence. Let me just switch off my camera there real quick. I'm just trying to get this out so you can all see it very well. As you can see, this is the best I can do. Oh, you can put it in a new window. Great. Let's see if we can make it big. Kind of hard to make it big. Okay, so we have to make use of it like this. Let's submit and see. Amazing work. I hope you enjoyed the introductory course about Seaborn. So we've nailed this location of residence. As you can see here, these are Y x-axis, X label location of residence. Those are what we have here. Then we have our Y label who like techno, percentage of those who like techno. Our data is giving us X label the village and the city. I can see above here we have this for male. This is what this column gender is in. This call to create two different subplots. This is the graph for female and this is the graph for male. As you can see above there. This is kind of showing it pretty well. Not pretty well though, but that's all we have to come up with based on the data provided. That's the best we can do. All right, I think we've completed this lesson. Fantastic. So we've learned a little bit or more about Seaborn, visualizing data with Seaborn, and designing and customizing our charts. Let's see.
Congratulations on completing this introduction to Seaborn. Let's discuss the next steps you can take to build upon the skills that you've learned in this course. Seaborn is a powerful data visualization tool that allows you to create attractive and informative visualizations with just a few lines of code. Let's return to this diagram of the data analysis workflow to see where Seaborn fits in. As we've seen in our examples, Seaborn is great for both the initial exploration of your data and communicating the results at the end of your data analysis. In this course, we've covered the most common data visualizations used for data exploration. DataCamp has other visualization courses if you wish to learn even more. For example, Seaborn also supports more advanced visualizations and analyses, like linear regressions. We also learned that Seaborn was built on top of matplotlib, and practice how to use some matplotlib functions to customize Seaborn plots. Here, too, there are many more customizations that matplotlib supports if you wish to learn more. You can also learn more about the other steps of the data analysis workflow. If you wish to learn more about how to gather your data, explore courses on importing data in Python and SQL. In this course, we learned that Seaborn works extremely well with tidy pandas data frames. There is more to learn here about how to get your data into pandas data frames, clean it, and transform it into a tidy format. Finally, I encourage you to learn more about statistical analysis. For example, for bar plots, Seaborn automatically calculates confidence intervals for each bar value. There is a lot to learn here about how these confidence intervals are calculated and how to interpret them. Though there is always more to learn, we've covered a great deal in this introduction to Seaborn. Congratulations on completing the course. I hope you enjoyed it and feel confident using Seaborn in the future for your data visualization needs.
Fantastic. So we've actually completed this introduction to data visualization with Seaborn. So our next one is the project visualizing the history of Nobel Prize winners. Hmm. We have the project instruction, which I'm going to come back to later. All right, so that will be the end of the live stream for today. So we're going to come back on day 61 to this project, visualizing the history of Nobel Prize winners in Python. As usual, I'll see you on the next video on the channel. Do have a wonderful rest of the day. I hope you enjoyed this learning journey of Python and